National Park is on 374 square kilometers. A national park that is very well known for the antelopes and mainly the impalas. The lake itself that forms Mburo harbors hippopotamus, crocodiles, the fish, name it. With the help of African Wildlife Foundation, helped with USAID and partnering with Uganda Wildlife Authority, we had a very, very clear view of Lake Mburo and a trail that leads us to having that nature and the natural breath that we are having. We caught up with a park ranger, Orubaruho Daniel, who's going to be explaining to us how it came to be called Lake Mburo National Park. Yes, Daniel.
Yes. I welcome you to Lake Mburo National Park.
Thank you.
And now here where we are standing on top of Chigarama Escarpment or Chigarama Hills. And when you are here, you are able to see almost 3/4 of Lake Mburo National Park. Lake Mburo National Park was called Lake Mburo National Park because that there were two brothers. One was called Mburo and another one was called Chigarama. Then that one time Chigarama had a dream. In his dream was that they were in danger unless they move up hills. When he told his brother Mburo, Mburo ignored the advice of his brother Chigarama. Then for Chigarama, for him, he went up to where we are standing. Then for his brother Mburo, remained down in the valley where you are seeing the water. Then one time there came a heavy hailstorm which swallowed Mburo. Then that's how the lake was formed. Then the lake was called Lake Mburo National Park because it had swallowed Mburo. Then these hills were called Chigarama Hills because those are the hills that saved Chigarama. Oh, that's why the hills where Chigarama went up. Then when they were gazetting this park, because of that history, they decided to call Lake Mburo National Park Lake Mburo National Park because of the history of the lake. That's how the name Lake Mburo National Park came in. And this park was gazetted as a national park in 1983 and opened to public in 1984. Then in 1987, because before it was gazetted as a national park, this was people's land and they were all chased out without compensation. They had to become a problem to the government. Why have you chased us from our land? Where do you want us to go? Therefore, in form of compensation, what was supposed to be a park, 60% was cut and given back to people. It remained 40%, which is about 374 square kilometers. Lake Mburo is a home of 68. Those are the registered ones. They registered 68 species of mammals. But of recent, they have introduced giraffes. Now, if we are to revisit the list, they should be 69 now. And almost about 315 registered species of birds. And when you are here, you will be able to see different lakes. Lake Mburo National Park is made up of 5 permanent lakes that do make up Lake Mburo. And the way they connect each other through the swamp, that is the park boundary. This is inside the park, and the other side is outside the park. And in the west, Lake Mburo borders with Mbarara district. In the south with Sinjiro, even those hills are from Sinjiro. And then in the east, it would be bordering with Ryantonde, but it does not reach Ryantonde because I've told you that the park size was reduced. Therefore, there is the ranches that separate Lake Mburo and Ryantonde district. But the whole of Lake Mburo National Park is within Chiruhura district.
Besides the antelopes, do we have cats?
We have got one male lion, leopards, we have got hyenas, we have savo cats, we have civets. Those are some of the cats that we do have in Lake Mburo. But those ones are mostly seen at night when you take like a night drive. That's when you are able to see
Well, it's a simple sneak peek in the history,
Yeah.
taking you back the history of Umburo
Yeah.
and Chigarama the brother. At least we know that Lake Umburo was buried in the lake, and we cannot go down to investigate more about it because those are the waters. How about Chigarama? Do we have anywhere where he was buried or somewhere close to understanding where he ended up?
Inside the park, because I've told you that people who were living inside the park, they were, when they were gazetting national park, they had to be pushed outside the park. Therefore, we don't have where they are claiming that this was, maybe this is a tomb for Chigarama. We don't have that. Therefore, I might not specifically tell where he might be in the group which were, when they were gazetting the national park, that they were pushed out of the gazetted area.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel Arbarojo, the park ranger, giving us a sneak peek of the history or the nitty-gritty of the history of Lake Mburo National Park. You're watching Conserve Our Heritage on UBC TV every Monday, 9 to 10 p.m. We've had a long day when it comes to finding out what happens in Lake Mburo, including Ankole Cow Conservation Association, where we did see culture respected and very well connected to conservation as the show Conserve Our Heritage. You're born in Kampala, you're raised in Kampala, you study in Kampala, you get a job in Kampala, but you are a Mkhima, a Mnyankole who doesn't know what to do with a cow. Get a chance, visit Mburo National Park, you'll be sorted and you'll know much about your culture.
Where we are at the beginning of Chigarama walking trail. This is one of the new products in Lake Mburo, funded by African Wildlife Foundation with the support from USAID to support Uganda Wildlife Authority in two ways. One, this is a monitoring trail where rangers and even visitors go on collecting information with some of the equipment. We gave them range finders, cameras with smart monitoring software, but also this is a tourism product. It diversifies the experience in Lake Mburo. It gives the visitors an opportunity to get out of the car and be in the middle of the nature on foot. We are just from up there. You saw how it gives you a 60-degree view of the park, and you get, that natural breeze. It's a complete product. You saw an eco pit latrine that we built towards the beginning of the trail, and at the top there is a shed. USAID has been working with Uganda Wildlife Authority in 3 different parks, Lake Mburo being one of them, Kidepo and Makshon. And wherever we go, we employ different models to, to solve conservation issues that exist in those areas. In Lake Mburo, when you are driving from the equator in Masaka, you saw the first signpost that welcomes you to Lake Mburo, or that tells you the distance from the equator to Lake Mburo, and all through you saw the signage to the gate and the signage inside the park, telling you the speed meters, telling you that there is a ditch in front. All that signage was done by African Wildlife Foundation with the support from USAID, but also we work with the park management to improve their monitoring systems. This beautiful nature, all those the buffaloes we saw, and zebras and the impalas, they need to be monitored. If you are to conserve, you must be knowing what you're conserving. You must know the threats to the biodiversity. So we've given the rangers who are in monitoring unit the capacity to do monitoring, to see if the numbers are going up, but also to see if there are challenges. For example, if there is poaching, if there is illegal entrance into the park, and then the management forms the decisions based on scientific information. We've given them the equipment to do that. Smartphones that have GPS. So if you go and see an incident, for example, of a dead zebra, you are able to take a picture that shows even the GPS where it was taken from, and it has forms. You can record if it was natural death, by observation, if it was actually poached. And if you, for example, happen to get a poacher inside the park and you do arrest, then you are able to take a picture that even shows the GPS, and that information helps in prosecution if you end up taking that suspect into a court. But also we are working with the park to minimize the conflict within the park, with the communities, trying to sensitize the communities that actually Lake Mburo National Park is there for their benefit. And that's where we get into the angle of conservancies. We've been working with some of the community members around Lake Mburo National Park to find a creative way to enable them benefit from wildlife. Just like you witnessed, Lake Mburo National Park used to be bigger, and its size has been reduced twice, making it now less than half of its original size. But when they reduce the size of the park through the gazettement, unfortunately we just say the boundary has been moved from here to there, but we never take away wildlife. So we find more wildlife getting or settling onto people's farms. But they don't know that they're actually farms, because that is formerly their home. And because there is now a new land use method, of ranching, there would definitely be conflict. You will find the ranchers are looking at this wildlife, as a threat to their new economic activity, which is, cattle rearing. But we are telling these guys that you can actually benefit from these animals. And African Wildlife Foundation is not just trying this. We've done it in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Southern Africa, where we've enabled landowners to benefit from wildlife that settles into their land. That concept is called the conservancy, where either one landowner or a group of landowners or a community put together their piece of land to let animals roam free, move freely, mixed with their cattle. It works well with pastoralists or cattle keepers, because animals, animals like elephants, buffaloes for Lake Mburo, impalas we saw, and zebras, they do not actually pose a direct challenge to a cattle. To cattle, to a cow, they can easily mix together with minimal challenges of ticks we had this morning, and of course competition for grass and water, which is manageable. So we've been engaging some communities in Rambira Parish, which touches one of the parishes that touch the park, and we are getting positive response because we have more than 100 landowners who have signed on to a constitution that we help them to develop themselves to sign up for a conservancy. And we are in a process, we are helping them to develop that. It takes a while, because you must have communities agree on what they want to do. Because the conservancy is a model where you are actually saying we are putting our land together to benefit from these animals. And the law, the Wildlife Act, gives, has provisions of use rights. It gives people who live with these animals to find a sustainable way of benefiting from them. It could be extraction, it could be breeding, it could be through tourism. That we are at a level of identifying the best model for Ekimburo, whether they will do breeding, and of course that has to be moderated and guided by Uganda Wildlife Authority, whether it is going to be farming, whether it is going to be actually through tourism. We are hoping them to develop a business plan that will guide them on how best they will benefit from these animals. And late you also saw the Acha, which is the Ankore long-horned Ankore Conservation Association. People coming together to say this is our pride, this is our heritage, this is our identity. The long-horned cow, we need to conserve. And as African Wildlife Foundation, we've been working with them to support them to do it in a professional and sustainable way. That these cows that hold their identity can be conserved. We provided water source for them because much of this area is actually lies in a semi-arid part of the country. So we provided water for them to have permanent source of water for their cows. Worked with Kirhura local government to extend veterinary services and training farmers on the best practices, especially the fact that the center lies at the border of the park, that whatever they are doing connects directly with the conservation of Rekeboro, because if that center is going to serve its purpose of conserving the heritage of the Banyankore, of the Bahima, they must do it in a way that actually this park that carries a long history is also conserved, because this used to be a hunting reserve for the Ankore Kingdom. So the longhorned cattle and the Kimburu National Park, they carry an intertwined relationship that must be conserved together. And we are glad that the farmers are appreciating that. And Uganda Wildlife Authority has been supportive, allowing them set up a cow, farm actually it's inside. Part of it is inside the park, and it demonstrates the conservancy model, where we are telling them that actually, where we are telling the farmers that you can have wildlife and cattle live together sustainably, and Acha is going to be, a vocal point for us to demonstrate that these cows are actually inside the park, and neither the cows, neither the animals are posing a threat to the other. It exactly fits into the model of the conservancy. And of course, this gives the opportunity for Ugandans to appreciate that these resources are actually ours. We do not only conserve them for tourism, for tourists to come from Europe and everywhere to come and enjoy, but to see and appreciate. I'm sure you were amazed to see, those long-horned cows mixed freely with, the decorated zebras, and the sight that comes out of that. If you don't enjoy that, then there is nothing that is going to impress you. Thank you so much.
I nearly lost my first child, Felix, because I didn't support him and his mother during pregnancy and after birth. I learned the hard way and decided to go all the way for my second child, Naigaga. Unlike Felix, when Naigaga's mother was pregnant with her, I made sure she ate as advised. We attended antenatal care. and breastfed her from the first hour of birth. Felix suffered a lot from our ignorance. We never kept him warm and clean, breastfed him for a very short time, did not give him nutritious foods, and we were always in hospital, not for checkups, but admission. However, we did things differently with Naigaga. We returned her to the health center as advised for immunization and regular checkups. We made sure Naigaga slept under treated mosquito net and learned to wash hands at an early age. Naigaga is happy, healthy, and clever because we did things differently. I learned the hard way and decided to go all the way with Naigaga.
That's his way of taking charge of his family. What about you?
This is Mburo National Park, a park that is a home of antelopes. Just behind me, a group of antelopes, elands, zebras, buffaloes, impalas, name it. The only park in Uganda that has many antelopes. And I think as you're watching Conserve Our Heritage on UBC TV, we just had a visit in this national park. And believe you me, it's worth to have a look. This is a connectivity with Ankoli Cow Conservation Association, in a sense that even when the cows are with the antelopes, they are all grazers. And that means they can live together. They can spend a whole day together. Only that with the cows, all the cattle are more close to human than the other antelopes. But just like I said, they are all grazers. They can live together and they can have the whole day without hurting together. It's Conserve Our Heritage, and this is UBC. We are still in Mburo National Park, coming across the staff of African Wildlife Foundation, a member who's been part of the dams, a couple of dams that have been built in Mburo National Park. Drought has not been easy for these grazers and even the communities around. Because of drought, African Wildlife Foundation, with the help of USAID, partnering with Uganda Wildlife Authority, had to find a solution of constructing a couple of dams. And he is in front of me, who's going to be giving us why they did this and how it crossed their mind to have this done in Mburo National Park, and it was that useful for these antelopes.
Thank you, Mr. Karamagi. Abias again, I work with African Wildlife Foundation, and as you clearly put, we are implementing a USAID project where we support the conservation agencies, mainly Uganda Wildlife Authority and National Forest Authority, to improve management of their estates, parks and forest reserves. We work in 5 protected areas: Kidepo, Makshon, Budongo Forest Reserve, Lake Mburo, and Karinzu Forest Reserve. Here in Lake Mburo, as you clearly saw, it lies in the arm of or semi-arid area, the famous Masaka Ankole corridor, which usually gets dry. And fortunately or unfortunately, as it gets drier, we have wildlife and livestock that need water. So when we started working in Lake Mburo National Park, one of the key challenges was actually the competition for water between wildlife and livestock, because of the history of Lake Mburo National Park that found itself being reduced twice from its original size. There is wildlife living actually in the outside the border of the park. that creates a rift between the ranchers and wildlife. Mainly, among other things, the competition for water and pasture. So we had to partner with Uganda Wildlife Authority to try and solve the challenge of water by putting up, what valley tanks. They are actually called, the right term is valley tanks.
Valley tanks, yes.
But in layman's language, you can call them dams, water dams. And these, in a critical time like now when it is getting drier, we drove around Lake Mburo, you saw how dry it was. And you could clearly see that where there are dams, it's where animals and actually the livestock are concentrated. You can see, the footprints, how busy this place is. It tells you the amount of activity that takes place here because of the water. And I'm sure if animals had anything to be thankful over around this time, it is these dams.
Well, when it comes to conservancies, these communities living alongside the national park, and the wildlife is basically on their land. Do they both use these dams?
Oh yes. Where in conservancies or in areas that are outside the park, we are going to put 12 valley tanks. We have already put 8 of them now. We are doing 4 more when we get to around August, which is the best time when the rains are about to come. We put them in strategic areas where livestock of communities doesn't have to be an individual, but where different farmers can bring their cows for for watering. But also in those areas there is wildlife. So it is we make it clear to the ranchers that the reason we are spending conservation money to provide water is because there is wildlife. But we don't restrict that water only to wildlife. We are saying let animals, which is the wildlife, the zebras and buffaloes and the impalas, enjoy water where they are, but also let the ranchers, provided it is outside the park, bring their livestock for watering. And it clearly sends a message of the dual survival of both livestock and wildlife, because if they can share this important resource of water, why can't they share pasture? Why can't they share the land to survive together? And later, as the conservancy development gets to the level of where they can actually start getting money from wildlife, I'm sure there is someone who is interested in paying to enter onto a conservancy on a private land and see animals, the zebras and buffaloes and impalas mingle together with cattle and pay for that experience. You can imagine the archer we had this morning, where we saw guys milking, that experience, and then on top of that, there are animals coming, there are impalas, there are zebras coming onto the farm. That mixture, you can't beat it.
Well, besides the dams that you've built for the communities around the park and the park itself, do you find this as an achievement? You, staff of African Wildlife Foundation, do you find this as an achievement? Because so far you're saying you've built 8 dams and you're going to add more. Adding more, does it mean there is an achievement or there is more demand?
The demand is there. The demand is immense, but the achievement is there. One of the reasons why we are doing this is to help Uganda Wildlife Authority improve the relationships with the communities. And this has the conservancy discussion, the construction of the dams, because we sit with communities and we identify the areas where we're going to put up the dams. We work with Uganda Wildlife Authority. They are always chairing all these meetings. It has brought Uganda Uganda Wildlife Authority with communities to sit on the same table and start talking. And it's amazing to see how their relationships are increasing. So for us as African Wildlife Foundation, and to the extension of our funders, the US government through USAID, we are achieving that amicable relationship between the park and its surroundings, that the people start looking, to stop looking at this wildlife as a liability but as an opportunity to improve their livelihoods.
Well, thank you very much, Abias, the staff of African Wildlife Foundation, partnering with Uganda Wildlife Authority, having such important dams put for the communities around the parks and even the animals, making sure that they don't run out of water. It's Conserve Our Heritage. My name is Glen Karamagi, and we're in Mburo National Park. Keep it UBC. Still in Lake Mburo National Park. This is private land. Just behind me, there are zebras. The zebras are grazing on private land. This is the relationship between the communities around Lake Mburo and the national park itself. We did clearly make it and mention it earlier on that communities around the park have been facing these wild animals. They don't have boundaries. They cross over and they graze with the cattle. Just a few meters away from me, you can clearly see the cattle. Those are cows with even the herdsman behind them. That really clearly shows how wildlife can mix with the cattle. They are all grazers that earlier on we did mention, and the two can live together harmoniously. African Wildlife Foundation did come on board to make sure that the two don't conflict or fight for land. That is when conservancies was formed. After forming conservancies, now the communities around the park, or those individuals who are owning land outside the national park, where wildlife can easily mix with their cattle, they only have to find a way of accommodating, coexist with them, and find a way of earning a living, even when the wildlife is on their land. This is UBC TV. Conserve Heritage is your show.
Hi, my name is Bebe Cool, and I'm using AfriCell Social Bundle. Why? Others charge you 500 shillings for the daily social bundle, but AfriCell only charges you 200 shillings. Others give you WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook, but AfriCell gives you all these, including Snapchat and Instagram, for free. For me to stay in touch with my fans, I use AfriCell's weekly social bundle, where I get 600 MBs. That is 6 times more than what others can give you. Don't let others cheat you.
Only on AfriCell.
I'm the area councillor, Rambira Parish, Yakashasha Sub-County, Chirhura District. We've been working with the conservancies for a period of about 3 years. We've seen the benefits. The conservancy to come in, we had a challenge of the community living together with the wildlife. It was kind of win-win situation. How do we live with the wildlife when it is spoiling what we're having on the ground, and yet the wildlife, we are not benefiting a lot from it? So USAID came in with a proposal of saying, how can we help you such that we can live with the wildlife harmoniously? The challenge number one was we used to have our small dams where you would find you have a lot of buffaloes, zebras, elands, everything benefiting, and yet there was no any compensation on our spoiled dams. So the ideology of saying we create more dams such that the wildlife can benefit on the dams and also benefit on our small dams helped us. We suffered a lot of drought that took us 3 years with no water. Even the wildlife had started dying, our animals had started dying. But as soon as the project came in, they brought us dams. The dams, we all benefit. The wildlife benefits, the community benefits. So the situation at the moment is very okay, and we really appreciate it so much. The sample you're seeing behind my back is what has been put up by the conservancies, by USAID, in conjunction with UA and the community. So we really do appreciate. There are no more problems of saying we lack water. So many dams have been constructed. That is an achievement. In my area, we never used to have water, but now everybody is saying, I wish they would have even go to the extreme side. So we really do appreciate. We have started cultivating the reeds, which would help sustain our cows during the dry season. Personally, as I'm speaking, I have a garden of 2 acres. He has 2 gardens of 2 acres, and other members who are not here. So we tried to say, now, since we have water, and the pasture is our problem, how can we address it? If we have those gardens put in place, that means we shall have, one stone would have killed 2 birds. So as I'm talking right now, the reeds we've planted, they have germinated. So we are also, we do appreciate into that.
I'm a member of the conservancy, and I was elected as the vice chairman of the conservancy committee, and it started in this year around February. So we have started operating as the committee members. We are very many people in this parish. By the way, the project started in this parish, Rambira Parish, and it has operated for almost 3 years, as he said. But I hear that the project is ending around in November. So we request, if possible, they bid for another contract. So we appreciate for the conservancy, and you said what it has done for the community. For example, the dams. Secondly, the pasture management. Thirdly, they promised this kind of garden fencing with the wire mesh. We really appreciate, you said, and conservancy. Before, we had a lot of challenges, as you are seeing very many wildlife in our lands without any profits from the wildlife. So these days, we really appreciate wildlife, and UA plus USAID plus conservancy. In this parish, conservancy dug almost 8 dams. For example, this one, as you are seeing it, it is fenced, so we really appreciate. But as a member of this parish, as a member on the committee, I really request, if there is a chance of fencing the gardens for the people. You know, wildlife during the night, they just come and destroy our crops They just come and eat, man eaters. For example, hyenas, leopards, lions. They do come at night and they just enter in people's homes and take the cows and the goats. So that's the challenge we have. But we really appreciate and we request the conservancy to continue because we are seeing a very, very big change in this parish.
Yes, we are here in Rurambira Parish, like the two colleagues have been telling us. It's called Katete Valley Dam, which was constructed by African Wildlife Foundation in partnership with UA and also USAID coming in to give them a hand. Conservancies, as they've been mentioning, this is where private people owning the land, allowing wildlife to stay in their land and also benefit. It's a new thing to them, but we believe them understanding how good it is to have wildlife on their land. It's a matter of time for them to appreciate and start earning from the wildlife. We've seen zebras around, elands, like they say, they also enjoy the dam. But the most important thing is coming closer to wildlife. When you are in urban centers, when you're from outside Uganda, you really want to see a wild animal. But communities living around them, they just find it as a problem. But in forming conservancies or conservancy development will help them to appreciate wildlife and start earning from them.
District Councillor for Lapono Sub-County. Lapono is one of the sub-counties in Agago District, and here in the district I double as sector for health. And one is also one of the sub-counties affected by the wildlife incursion from Kidemo Valley National Park. When these issues first came in, we had a lot of problems, especially human-wildlife conflict. There were destruction of crops, injury, and death. And this all because of the animals coming from the Devil Park. The Kidemo people came and introduced the idea of conservancies, the community conservancy, sometimes back, and there were a lot of resistance from the community. The community were giving this resistance because they believe there was suspicion of land grabbing, which is a big problem here. And then there were very little explanation of what is meant by animal corridor. And of course, the obvious one, crops destruction, injury, and death. And so when this issue were brought in, the rangers were brought to contain the animals' problems in the crops, in the gardens, and then also this and that. But the community were very negative and very resistant to the concept of conservancies. So who are, I think, with funding from Global Fund, that is Jeff, and the UNDP and government of Uganda, decided to do more on the concept of conservancy, community conservancies. And about 3 groups of people went to Kenya for an exposure tour to compare notes and see whether we have opportunities or there are challenges in establishing conservancies in what they call the critical landscape in northeastern Uganda. And so this study tour was organized, and I happened to go there as a team leader, and also wrote a report which, as you requested, I'll be able to share with you. And finally we brought the report and presented it to the 3 districts of Acholi sub-region, that is Bim, Agago, Kitgum. The other districts of Kotido and Kabong made their presentation on a different date. Of course, considering the uniqueness that the people of Acholi sub-region are generally crops farmers, agriculturists, and then the other side they are livestock keepers, and so there was elements of that uniqueness of having, because when we went to Kenya we visited very many places. We also represented this, when we brought this to the district authorities, and that's when they learned that conservancy can be applicable, and it is a good thing, because in Kenya we saw so many things. Unless you want me to go to details of what we saw in Kenya. Well, the reason why we went to Kenya was basically to see the opportunities, as I mentioned in the beginning, and the challenges in establishing conservancies. Of course, very many of us went, we were about 15, the local land leaders, and then sub-county authorities, and then some councillors, but in most cases the landlords, because these are people who are directly affected by conservancies, and these are people who have a lot of suspicion because they thought maybe this is like land grabbing. So when we went there, our objective was clear: to compare notes and understand conservancies, on the diversity and ecosystem values through enhanced operational capacity and functional landscape planning process on board, and also to talk to Kenya Wildlife Authority, which is our equivalent of Uganda Wildlife Authority. And we were supposed to recommend to Uganda to our people what we thought could be applicable. And then we also had to understand strategically whether conservancy is sustainable. We selected about 8 areas. One is the community lodges in Kenya. We went to one called Samburu, and then Kilimanjaro landscape. Those are community lodges. Then we went to conservancies in the county landscape for most of the Samburu areas. Then the transboundary landscape covering the mountainous side of Kenya and part of northern Tanzania. And we also went to Naibunga Conservancy in Laikipia and Kalama Conservancy in Samburu counties. What I want to emphasize here is we went both to people who keep cattle together with animals, wildlife, and then to people who are farmers, and also at the same time they will be practice conservancies. So that we would be able to, contextualize it with the people of Acholi who are farmers and casuists, and then the Jie Kajong who are cattle keepers. And we also visited community rangers. We went to Kenya Wildlife Services, which, as I said, is the equivalent of Uganda Wildlife Authority. We visited women groups. These are villages who are there basically to tap tourist potentials in terms of what they organize themselves. They could practice dances, they had crafts, and all this. Then we went to the hair strips, which in most cases are in the conservancies, to facilitate the movement of tourists from the Nairobi city to their places. Then we also visit local farmers, people who are born in the wildlife areas. We went there also visit them, and then we finally visited local NGOs, especially partners. We visited people called one NGO called Big Life Foundation and African Wildlife also. these are the places we went and the Kenyans. So our term of reference was to compare benefits, to understand cross-cutting issues, to appreciate challenges, to learn lessons in community conservancies, to learn good practices, and to recommend to the community. That was our term of reference. And what methods we used, we were using careful observations. We had interviews with groups of people and also for the community, whatever, anybody that we thought would be relevant. Then we also prepared some questions. We had meetings, especially with people who are managing the conservancies, because in those places, it is the community themselves who manages conservancies. Unlike here, where it is already Uganda Wildlife Authority, it is just like a private arrangement. So we had 12 meetings with the management style. Then we had to study also their documents, and of course some special meetings with the NGOs. It took us from 26 to 21st to 26, about 1 week, and the entire trip was by road. We also developed checklist, like the management of wildlife, conflict, roles of landowners, local communities, leaders, and government. Then benefits of wildlife. Then what can be adopted in Uganda, the Agaga, Chole, and Karamagi sub-regions at household level, at sub-county level, and district level. So we also learned. We also exactly what do we need to do to implement lessons learned, and then land use plan, development plans, and business plans. That's what we are doing yesterday. Then revenue sharing, the roles of the NGOs, then the wildlife outside protected areas. These were our checklist, how they were managing it. The general observations we got from Kenya are many, but we would like to a few. That these projects in Kenya have taken between 10 to 15 years now. And they were all started by the NGOs, and the people who initiated were the NGOs. There are also cross-cutting issues, which I will highlight. There are also challenges, there are also benefits. And all these are now fully independently established, although they are privately owned. And then the most important thing is we learned that land actually belongs to the community. All of them have title deeds and were fully registered. And the whole development and business plans in place, and in most cases they were business oriented. There were so many benefits we saw when our study tour. For example, the development plans, like the management plan and business plans, guides all the development. There is land use plan. There is land for grazing, for animal keeping, for farming. All these are properly done. And then employment opportunities in lodges and community ranges. In fact, 95% of all the lodges employ the local Kenyans. You only find the owner who is an investor, and sometimes an assistant, but most of them, from manager down to cooks, all of them, that is carries, they are all local people. And then there is also provision of social services like health centers and schools and hospitals.
So the local people are owning those lodges?
Yes. It's the local. What happened is they enter into agreement with the MOU with the investor. And all the terms of sharing revenue are clearly spelled out. There's what they call night payment, and then how much goes to the community, how much remains with the investor, and then how much goes for example, the other services like scholarship schemes. All these are planned, and they're all transparent. Actually, it's a modern business management style. And then there's, as I talk about the schools, they also build schools for the community. Some of the schools, people who are pastoralists, they would move from where, and so they probably accessing social services like schools and health centers. In some place, I think in the other place, the northern Maasai side, we've got a big hostel, about 44 beds, built by the community, and especially with the money from the lodges. And then there are also ready markets for domestic animals, for farm produce and cash development from cash. We also got bursaries and sponsorship and scholarship schemes for students. You see, the Maasai people are not well educated compared to other Kenyans tribes. And so this was a deliberate scheme to bring them. And I think in one place we got about 20 or so who are being sponsored at the university level. And they all come back to have the community grow. And of course there is revenues for the government. Then there's property for the lodges, and then infrastructure like roads and dams.
So that means those bursaries and scholarships, when you finish the university, one of the mandate you're supposed to is coming back to the community and help them.
Exactly.